And we'll double check, make sure it streams all over on the, here's my quality control. I know, sweetheart, I just dialed it up.
Okay.
Good on YouTube and on Facebook. Should be starting up. Gotta love trying to make technology work across 5 different things.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go on Facebook. So, all live for episode number 23 of the Whitetails and Whiskey podcast. Nate had stuff going on tonight, and he's going to miss cracking open the Buffalo Trace. So, too bad to be Nate. But, so Ryan came down tonight to join me. I haven't seen Ryan in a while, and told him I'd invite him over for a whiskey and have him on the show and maybe talk some coyote hunting and some other stuff and just have a good time and shoot the bull and have a little Buffalo Trace.
There we go.
And we're drinking it a little bit on ice. Just because. I haven't had Buffalo on ice in a while.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. If you can find it. So actually this one was a Christmas present from one of my clients this year. So thank you to the Clementes for the Xmas Buffalo Trace. So cheers to everybody tuning in. Cheers, Ryan.
Cheers.
So, good?
That's good stuff.
That's good. And again, man, back when you could be able to find this stuff at like $25 a bottle, it's a killer at $25. And it should be at $25, but now it's allocated. You can't find it. You know, a lot of people probably say that you can't find it here on the stream and stuff like that, but they're out there, but I wouldn't overpay for it. I've seen it $75, $80, and it's just not. It's good, but it ain't that good.
Thank the show Yellowstone for talking about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why Blanton's with John Wick, all that stuff. You put it on a TV show, you put it on something like that, it turns into that celebrity whiskey. So, but anyway, start this off. My wife wanted me to plug the Phelps Stip and Stroll, which she says they have, I believe, 9 stops now. So the participating vendors are Crafty Ales and Lagers, Smoke and Tails, Local Palate, Vienna Cafe and Consignment, Waterside Wine Bar, Wilkins Cakery, Iron Smoke Distillery, and the wine for the event provided by K&M Discount Liquor, who we talk about on the show. And we will have a Whitetails and Whiskey podcast pouring station. So I got 3 different whiskeys and bourbons. If people want to have a little spirit, we'll be at the Phelps Art Center over there, and I believe that's where Phelps BDTC will be pouring from too. So we'll be over there. We got a couple to try out, and they're all good budget beginner ones. No Buffalo Trace, sorry. But there is a Buffalo Trace juice that I found that will be at the tasting thing. So
Really?
Swing on by. Yeah, they're owned by Sazerac. They're a big company, so I found a good budget one that is a good introductory one for somebody, especially if you're just trying to start drinking bourbon neat and stuff like that. Actually, we'll give the teaser for it. It's Old McAfee's Benchmark, Old Number 8. Looks like Old Number 7, don't it?
Yes, it does.
So this one will be at the tasting station. This will be one of them. And then we got Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, and the other one is Jim Beam Extra Aged Black. So kind of going up and playing with different flavors. This one, like I said, is a good one. Pretty sweet, pretty straightforward, and it's made by Buffalo Trace, so can't beat it. And for the price, I think that's $25 a handle.
Yeah,
So-
you can't beat that.
So it drinks like it's a bottom shelfer, but I think it's a good one, especially if you're just trying to get into drinking whiskey and stuff like that. It's a good one to definitely try out. But it's not Buffalo Trace. It is only 80 proof. I think Buffalo comes in at 86-ish. 90. Sorry. But anyway, so hope you guys can come out to the Sip and Stroll this Saturday. Weather looks like it's going to cooperate. I'm on call. That's why I'm not strolling. That's why I'm just pouring. So we'll see. They were calling for snow, so it was kind of up in the air. But Nate's going to be pouring and helping me out if I do get called in, and then my sister will be there helping me out too. So got plenty of people pouring and talking about whiskey and bourbon at the Phelps Art Center for the event. So, but anyway, we haven't had a lot of snow, which you need snow this time of year
Yes, they do.
when you're out running dogs. So I don't know if anybody hasn't heard of it or anything like that. You want to give like a quick down and dirty on hunting coyotes and hunting them with dogs, GPS, all that good stuff.
I guess what we do is we wait for deer season. All you guys hunting to get out of the woods, and so we don't interfere with anybody. And we coyote hunt from the end of deer season till I think it's the end of March. It closes still.
Yep.
They seem to change the dates at times.
Mm-hmm.
So we hunt all season. Snow's definitely a big help for finding tracks, narrowing down where your coyotes are. We go around the blocks, actually, confirm that they're in there.
Mm-hmm.
Usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday we hunt. I've been doing this for 39 now, and was doing it before I could hunt. Back then the age wasn't 12 either.
Yeah.
A little different then.
Yeah.
And I've always had hounds my whole life. Guess it's kind of probably kept me out of trouble most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of more illness than anything. The amount of it's like any other hobby people get into.
Yeah, whiskey.
Swallows your excess. And so what we do is we find a track. We've got jump dogs that we use. They're older dogs, your seasoned dogs that'll follow a track in, and they might bark a little bit or open, we call it. And once they send a young dog with them, and once they get it up and going and on its feet, and we know they're up rolling, everything's the younger dog's barking too, and we usually let them make a circle or so because we're in it for not just the kill by any means.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a lot of people call it a blood sport, and you can find plenty of negativity online for it.
Oh
yeah. But in my opinion, I've hunted. I should go back to what I've hunted with hounds, I guess. I started out with coyote hounds. I've had coon hounds. I competition hunted for a while I was young and single, and I've got beagles now along with the coyote dogs, and I've bear hunted in Maine. I've shot a bear over hounds. My son, who's 10, shot a bear over hounds when he was 8,
mm-hmm.
which thanks to Maine.
Which is legal in Maine.
Yep. Thanks to Maine being one state that you could actually do that in.
Yep.
It's really great for kids. I wish New York would get on board with
getting more youth. Yeah, absolutely.
Focus more on youth as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, back to the coyote hunting thing. So we'll let them make a circle in the block, and then we got a few guys that come with us that want to shoot.
Yep.
I've shot plenty of in my time. I would just as soon see the younger guys or other guys that really want to go and shoot the coyote go ahead and do it. And
mm-hmm.
we go in, and it turns into more when a few of us get in the woods for play games and mess with each other to see who can get in front of somebody, or get to it before they can. And
mm-hmm.
we've got GPS handhelds that connect right to the dog. The dog's wearing a collar that puts out a GPS signal, and we can tell right where they were circling, which is a lot of people probably say it's cheating, but it's not. Years ago, you'd hear where they were. You'd walk in, you'd find a track where they circled, you sit and wait.
Mm-hmm.
Coyote's creature of habit, he's going to come around that circle again 9 out of 10 times. So you wait on the circle, and they may come back to you. They may win you. They may not. Dogs might catch them. It just kind of goes how it goes. It's not it's not the same. Different. It's not the same every time. You might get on a coyote male that's out of his territory, and it was last year we ran one from Phelps to Canandaigua, which was probably one of the furthest ones I've been on,
mm-hmm.
trying to get ahead of them, get the dogs, and we finally just caught them and got off it and ran out of some permissions. And I guess it's a sport where a lot of people will knock it
mm-hmm.
until you come once and try it. I did take Ben once. He got to kind of see how it was.
I guess 3 dogs that day?
I think
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yep.
Can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many. We've had years, I think our best year we killed 73 or 4. I can't remember. It's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Talking over a 20-year span. I can't remember. We might have killed in maybe higher than that. I can't remember. But we've been in the 70s before. We've had years we've been down in the 40s. This year will probably be a year we've been in the 40s with the lack of snow.
Yep.
It's just
It's hard to get on them and know they're there.
Hard to get on them, and another thing is, you get in the snow, you get in the woods, they stand out like a sore thumb. You go in there now, they blend in just like you.
Oh yeah.
Any deer hunter that's been in a tree stand, how many coyotes have popped up on you? You didn't even know they were coming.
Yeah, and they're dead quiet.
Yeah. I guess it's a sport, but it's just, I don't know. I kind of live and breathe it.
Yep.
It's a sport that a lot of people might look down on until you come and actually see. There's a lot of guys that give it the common thing, you just wait at the road and shoot the coyote. No, that's not how we do it. It's,
right.
There's good and bad and all, and the bad people get the
bad rap,
eyesore on the rest of us, And,
yep. Yeah, but you guys do it right. You do it with, permission pieces, big blocks of permission. There's pieces you don't go into anymore because just it blocks hazards, whatever.
Blocks we don't hunt anymore. People don't want us around. And it's a common thing now for people to say, your dogs are trespassing, and dogs aren't trespassing. It's written right into the law that if a dog does go across a little corner of a piece of property, it happens. It's nothing's perfect.
Yep.
If they go across a little piece of property and it's yours, we apologize.
Yep.
I've offered for guys to come along, say, hey, I'm sorry, I apologize. You want to come shoot the coyote? Do you want the coyote? Or it's different. I mean,
again, you guys aren't dumping out dogs on a 5-acre piece and saying, all right, we'll shoot the coyote here.
No, it's not. That's not how it works at all. It's I guess it's something you don't knock till you try it kind of thing. We got the GPS handhelds where I can shock and correct a dog if they do. It's just like, I guess everybody, your dogs run deer. Well, a puppy might, but it's just like an adolescent. You got to correct them. You might touch them, but we don't beat the snot out of our dogs. We don't fry them with shock collars. We're not terrible human beings. Because the most corrective way to do it is a little touch. You get their attention. Hey, no, we don't want you to holler to them. We don't want you doing it. Pull them off it.
Yep.
You might have to correct them once or twice. Somewhere down the road, they might see one, visually, and they might chase a little bit. You correct them. Usually, after a couple times to correct them, they don't want to do it anymore.
Yep.
They don't. We take them off what they're not supposed to be doing, and you go put them on what they're supposed to be doing.
And they're having a good time.
Doing it. Nobody, there's no correction there.
Right.
It's one thing we pride in. Our young dogs might touch a deer once in a while, but I cannot stand.
Yeah. The stereotype.
Yeah,
of
it's not you're in the woods, you chased all the deer out. No, I've seen. I'll tell you, in my years of hound hunting, I have seen, whether it be coon hunting, coyote hunting. Coyote hunting, I've seen deer come out of the woods, let the coyote get out of the way, and the deer turn right around, go right back in the woods, lay right back down. You can see it.
Yep. Yeah, we had some of that happen.
Yeah,
that day
you
when
saw
I was
that day. I've seen the coyote get in a herd of deer just to lose the dogs too.
Yeah,
that's something to really see. It kind of blow your mind on how intelligent a coyote is until I've seen coyotes do a lot of things that you'd really.
Yeah, I was really kind of how cyclic it was when we were watching them.
Yep.
Like you said, getting on loops. Like they would literally get in a wood block, and especially areas where you've killed dogs before, and you're like, I bet he's going to come down through this cut or down through by this ridge or saddle or something because you killed half a dozen dogs in there already in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's common. Like, I'll go look for tracks in the morning if we got good snow, which I think we've had twice this winter.
Yeah.
I'll drive down block and I'll look out my window and I might be going along a field. I'll look as I'm going, or I'll have a buddy in the passenger seat look. But when I come within 100 yards of the hedgerow that I know they cross on either side, I slow right down to a crawl. I'll look, and 9 out of 10 times your tracks are always going to be in the same place. They're very
habitual.
Yes, they are. It kind of, when you've messed with them as many years as I have, it kind of surprises you what they creature of habit,
Yeah, we had a comment come in. I don't know why it disappeared, but we had one come in that said, do you guys ever get fox when you're out running coyotes?
We do. It's not something I prefer to run because a coyote will go out and he'll make a big circle and it'll make it easier for the dogs to run them, I guess. And the dogs we run them with are running walkers. They're a little bit faster, more high-strung dog. And a fox will make a little circle. A fox will jump on a log. He'll run out a treetop, jump down. And the dog's got what we call picking a check. They've lost the track here, and they got to pick that track back up. Well, that fox has crawled up, done this, messed around, jumped down. Now that dog's the dog will make a circle trying to figure and find a scent again, and it may take them 5-10 minutes to figure out what this fox has done. Or a fox will turn right around, let the dogs come down, turn around, jump back on his track, and go right back down it. You know, I mean, he's smart. He's a coyote. They'll do it when you get in a little brush lot. We call it, you know, making tight circles.
Yep.
They get in a little brush lot. They'll just spin and spin and spin. That gets a little challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see fox backtrack on themselves a lot more than coyotes do. Interesting. And then another comment came in again. I don't know why it keeps erasing them or whatever. Damn Facebook community standards. Don't get me started. Was asking what kind of dogs they are. Are they primarily walkers?
Running walkers. That's what we hunt with. Foxhounds. Mm-hmm. It's there's piles of different breeds out there. That's an argument amongst houndsmen. What's the best one? I don't know what the best one is. This is what I like. That's all I can tell you. You know, it's my style.
Yep. And what you're familiar with and what you got bloodlines for and stuff like that too. And
this isn't something we just do a couple months out of the year. This is something we do 365 days a year. We're breeding for the next generation. You're trying to cross dog A to dog B. You're making a dog. It's not just, you don't just take a hound. It's not born a puppy and it's just going to be a coyote dog. Some make it, some don't. You know, they're just, it's not a lot of people, any dog will run that. Yep. Well, not how I like it. You know, it's
Yep. So with the dogs and stuff like that, what would your, I guess, success rate be for like training dogs? Now that you got the bloodlines better, it's probably better than it used to be.
I'd say to get what you want, you're probably 80%. Mm-hmm. And there's, I don't know, I myself and a couple of my friends, I mean, we're hard to please, I guess. You know, you expect there's a lot of flaws that can be found in them. But
and you've had some great dogs over the years, too, that they try to live up to.
That's just it. We call it setting the bar. Every time you get one that's exceptional, you set the bar a little bit higher. And then what's coming behind it's got to meet that bar, and they may never. It's just probably 80%. But, you know, that 20% that we don't like, somebody else might be perfectly happy with, you know, and it's just.
And like you said, you got different dogs. You got like starter dogs. You got, you know, long run dogs or whatever. And then you got like maybe finished dogs. Put fresh legs back on them or something. So, and you guys, I mean, what do you usually bring with you? It's 8 or 10 total usually?
Dogs?
Yeah.
Oh,
depends on how many people.
We've got all of 10. Yep. Yeah. I used to have quite a few dogs. I just got 3 now. Mm-hmm. We used to, you know, we do everything. It's never the same what we do. It's, I mean, we've got all of 10 every day. Yep. Because these might get tired or, you know, you run these for 2 hours. Because there's times we'll run a coyote for half an hour. And there's times we'll run a coyote for 4 hours. Yep. I can remember one race in particular we had years ago in this swamp. Beautiful 6-8 inches of snow, you know, on frozen swamp. Beautiful, huge swamp. We had permission to just about the entire thing. And we ran a coyote for 6 hours with the same 2 dogs, and I'll tell you what, it's just unbelievable day of hunting. Just one of those days that'll stick in the back of your mind forever. Yeah,
just that picturesque perfect run. Yeah. Comment came in. What are the beagles used for? You mentioned you had beagle dogs.
Beagles are used for hunting rabbits.
Gotcha.
I've got a young son that he's 10 and going to be coming hunting age here soon, and it's something for a kid to do. And I don't know, I guess I'm a firm believer with all the things out there nowadays to get him into something that's maybe going to keep him out of trouble. Or and we don't I don't just go run to beagles just to kill a rabbit. I bet you I don't even plan to kill a rabbit 25% of the time I hunt. I just run to run. It's just fun, you know,
and to give them the practice and like do the trials. So. And I mean, I have a little bit of experience with dogs. More of me is with shed dogs and stuff like that. And a lot of that translates some of it, but a lot of it kind of doesn't. Like Bear's more like a bird dog. You know, he's command, he's close by, he's working with you kind of stuff. These are long range, you know, kind of dogs. And I had, which she was phenomenal. Problem with it was I couldn't get her to stop trashing on deer. I had a black and tan red bone lab mix. She was a little bit of a mutt of everything. Nose was great, and when she was, I think, only 7 months old, she found 3 sheds all by herself. Nose was phenomenal. Problem is, anything deer related, she had to be in it. You know, and that was the problem with having Sadie. So, but she's a nice dog for my folks, and Not as high strung as she used to be. She's getting a little older now. But yeah, I couldn't. And as much as I tried correcting, with collars, stuff like that. She didn't even care. Once she got that chase going, and that's what they're
bred to do. It's not.
Yep, and it's no knock to her, because she was taught deer.
Yep.
And then it's hard to differentiate because we tried with the blood trailing too, and we tried with that stuff. So she was screwed into deer, and so it was no knock to her. She was trying to do what she was thought she was supposed to do with it, but her nose was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We dropped one of the sheds. The first one she ever found, we were out squirrel hunting with her, which I actually taught her to retrieve was squirrels too. And we dropped the shed she found, and I went back in there the next day with her, and she found it.
Really?
Yep. So, like I said, she was really good. Bear, he's coming along. He's doing all right. But the thing is, and I don't know if this translates to the coyote dogs, do you just have days where a dog doesn't want to work?
Yes and no. I mean, these dogs, that's another thing we breed for. There's certain lines that are kind of lazy, and I guess the line I have, or I don't per se do the breeding. One of the guys I hunt with does most of the breeding and everything, but you breed that out of them.
Gotcha.
You put more drive into them, is what we call it, where they're high strung and just. It's some people wouldn't like what we have, and some people would.
Right.
It's just
that's your style.
Yeah.
So with Bear, he's good if it's just you and one or two other people, but if you bring another dog in the mix, it goes playtime.
And there's Hounds the same way. You can't. We joke about them like it's just like kids. You put a certain group of kids together, and they just don't match. There's certain you might have 2 or 3 dogs around the coyote, and you put another one in there, and it doesn't work, and your race might be over. But yet that dog might work really good with 2 other dogs. It's just.
Yep, absolutely. But
it's an interesting sport. It's not the blood sport like they call it on.
No, like I said, and you're mostly Ontario County, or you still go down
I don't
the Southern Tier, or not as much anymore?
No, not as much anymore. I used to hunt with a buddy down the Southern Tier. We used to hunt in Seneca County quite a bit. Not so much anymore. We hunt Ontario County. We got a pile of permission, a bunch of big farms. I've farmed most of my life. I know a lot of people.
Yep.
It's the big farms. And that's another thing with the coyotes. A lot of people might disagree. I don't know. I feel as though the coyotes adapting to people more.
Oh,
yeah. A lot of these big farms, I've had pictures after pictures sent to me different times of the year of coyotes right in freestyle barns, standing at the end of a freestyle barn, over in big cabs, trying to figure out how to get into them.
Yep.
I think in the years that I've hunted, the size of the coyote and I guess the brazenness of the coyote, just lack of a better term, the balls they got to them, the animal has changed.
Yep.
You're not hunting the same thing we used to. The size of them has really changed.
Yep. So speaking of size, and this is something we all see it online every year.
Yeah.
Them 80-pound coyotes.
Yeah.
Where are those 80-pound dogs, Ryan?
They ain't nowhere.
Wisconsin and the wolves.
Yeah, those are what they. I've got guys I've talked to in different states, and that's the other thing with the hound hunting. You meet people from all over the place, and I talked to a guy in Canada. I talked to a guy in Wisconsin once in a while. And the guy in Wisconsin jokes. He says, "Yeah," he said, "those guys out there in New York or wherever," he says, in the East, are telling me, 80, 90-pound coyote. He says, "Come on out here and see the crossbreeds we got."
Yep.
He said, "Cross the wolves." He goes, "They'll tell you they won't. I can." He sent me numerous pictures.
Yep.
He said, "Come out and look at these things." He said it's completely different animal.
Different build.
And I'd say on average what we kill, 40s.
Yeah. For a mature dog.
For mature, yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, that. I mean, I've seen, we do get a fair amount in a year, probably that are in 50, 51, 52. I think last year we saw 55. We don't weigh them all.
Yeah. But you can tell when you pick them up.
Yes. We killed one a few years ago that was 62, and I'm going to tell you what. 62, you could walk up to him and go, wow, that's, the head on the thing was huge.
Yeah.
He was nasty. He didn't want to run from the dogs.
Oh, he wanted to just bay up.
He just wanted to stay and fight. It just you'll find a little one that wants to stand and fight too at times.
It's just personality.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Most of them don't want to.
Gotcha.
But
your wife comments and says Yellowstone ? She must be.
Oh, the Buffalo Trace.
Come
on, you watch Yellowstone.
Yep. So we went with the Buffalo Trace tonight. I had this, brought it over to Ryan's, I don't know, month or so back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It was a different bottle, obviously. And then this one was a Christmas present I got from one of my clients, and we decided that we were going to open this one up tonight because I finished the other one that I brought over to Ryan's. So, but it's always a good one when you can find it, if you can find it, like I said, right price and stuff like that. So, yeah, Buffalo Trace is the drink tonight, and this will go into the infinity bottle like the rest of them. So, but yeah. And Barb asked, "What's the bottle for the night?" Buffalo Trace, just regular old Buffalo Trace. So I don't know. I mean, I'd probably pay. I think I paid for my last one. I paid $34 for. That's the most I'd pay for one. I wouldn't go crazy on them. Like I said, I saw people had them this year for $75, $80.
Ugh.
So, and that's the problem I talk about a lot with the secondary whiskey market. With these hard to find bottles, you get some stores that just jack prices, because they know people will pay it, But then I found another place this year, and I just missed it. I was talking to the guy. I saw his sign was still up. He was selling magnums of Buffalo Trace for $65.
65, really?
60 for magnums, like big
really?
175s. I was like, he's like, oh yeah, I get them at this time. So we won't disclose this store. It's not K&M, so don't go bothering K&M for the magnums. But no, he said he gets about a dozen of them at Thanksgiving. He sells them for that same price every year. He says when they're gone, they're gone. And I was there right around New Year's, and he had just sold the last one the day before. He's like, I limit one per person. He's like, nobody gets greedy. They just come in here and grab one. Once in a while, I got like 4 or 5 people that grab one every year for Christmas presents, and so the rest of them just sit. He says sometimes they sit till February. You never know. I'm just like, you never know. So don't be afraid to hit up some of these small town liquor stores if you are hunting for something or whatnot. Usually these come out end of the season. Once in a while your store might get one. But, just get in good with your local stores, and they might tell you, hey, I got this bottle in this week, so something you're interested in and stuff like that. So, and that's how you find hard to find stuff, without paying out the nose and just being stupid on it. But yeah, so is this the year you're going to have me out to do some habitat work on your farm, Ryan? We've been talking about it for the last couple of years.
Just might.
Yeah. You said you did some cutting last year.
Yeah, I did some hinge cutting and stuff. It did kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess. It added a little deer habitat. I did see it had a little bit more action in it, and it made a little bit more budding habitat for running the beagles. A lot of guys would probably scratch their head and look at what I do all summer and fall long. I run the beagles in the same place that all my deer bed and everything else. And my brother and I this year killed 2 of the nicer bucks we've killed in quite a few years. Anywhere near hunt. Like I don't consider myself a deer hunter, I guess. I do deer hunt. I enjoy eating it.
Yep.
I enjoy it. My son's starting to, want to go, and my brother and I both killed nice bucks, and both came out of the same spot where I run the beagles every weekend if I had time. And my brother said to me his season was coming up. Hey, you think you should lay off that? I said, well, we're going to see, because I'm going to keep doing it.
Yep.
And both deer laid in the same spot. And
both real nice bucks.
Yep.
For sure.
Mine was a 9 and his was a 10. And I don't know, he didn't score them probably, 120s? Yeah. They're not big. They're not huge.
But just solid bucks.
Nice deer.
Yep. So, and that's the thing with it, and a lot of people, I talk to this with clients all the time, is use your ground for other stuff. It's nice to, dedicate to deer or whatever, but, how much enjoyment do you get out there running the dogs and hunting with your son and stuff like that? And a lot of that, you can't get that time back and take, can't take that for granted. So, having multiple uses on your property, I know a lot of people that, ride their 4-wheelers throughout the summer, and then maybe they shut it down, like you said, September time frame.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and I talk about it a lot with my pieces, I'm not getting most of my bucks coming in until second week October, and moving forward. So when the ag starts getting harvested off, they start pulling into some of the properties where you've done some cutting, got good bunny habitat.
Yeah.
and it makes good deer habitat. Putting that structure and that cover in there, and call it that Rabbitat is what we called it in college.
Yeah,
we were doing timber cuts, making Rabbitat. Hannah says only if you two let your unskilled laborers like Dylan and I help. I don't. Dylan, I probably would trust with a chainsaw. My wife, she needs practice. Maybe we start with the battery powered one with Hannah.
A couple weeks ago, Dylan and I went to cut some firewood for my father, and he's used chainsaw a little bit, and I turned him loose with it. I had my bigger saw out, was cutting up a log that was there, and I just kind of keep an eye on him. Did pretty good. I mean, he's big for a 10-year-old, but he
Yep. He's got a working knowledge. I mean, he's worked with his hands, drove farm equipment, all that stuff. I remember when he was out there at a piece we do some work on. He's out there driving the tractor and doing all that stuff. And I grew up doing it. I know you grew up doing it, and I think it's a great skill set to have, and one that's fading in this day and age for sure.
Really bad.
Yep. So, but yeah. Oh man, this is a long comment. Darn essay. Marty comments in. Marty's a client of mine. Says, "Hey guys, so I want to remove ash in my woods that are slowly dying, but still putting out leaves. I want to open up the canopy after I cut them. I was planning on leaving the tops, but should I buck up the rest and get rid of it? Otherwise, it leaves a big mess. Lots of work hauling it out, though." So, I don't know. You don't have a whole lot of ash on your parents.
Not really. That's more maple.
Yeah.
A little bit of oak and hickory. Yep. A lot of maple.
Yep. So with the ash areas and stuff like that, it's really not that much. What I tell people is to think of it like a wagon wheel. If you are cutting areas in to make some sunlight and stuff, I leave the center of it. Maybe I'll find a couple maple trees or something else in there. In the center of my wagon wheel to leave mature trees in the center. That gives them bedding areas, and then make lines of cuts off of that, kind of in a wagon wheel type shape. And the big key with that is to lay your stuff as you're going out. Lay your trees perpendicular. This arm still doesn't want to work right. We could talk about that later. Lay those trees perpendicular. Perpendicular. Gotta make sure I got the right vocabulary to it. And what that does is as those deer exit out through those trails and through those cut areas, they have exit routes as they go. What I see on a lot of properties is people try to parallel their cuts to try to make deer go like a tunnel, because that's how we are as people. We want to drive between the guardrails on the road and do that stuff. Deer and other wildlife need those escape routes. They're prey animals. So I would say leave a center hub if you find some maple, hickory, some other tree species that are going to survive, and then make cuts off of that in a wagon wheel shape. Could be a triangle shape. Kind of depends on how it lays out. And then if you have to drop a tree, just cut a section out of it that goes across it and just open up the trail for them, and buck it down or roll it off to the side and, do it that way too. Some guys go as crazy as using some of those butt pieces for, backrest for the deer when they're laying on the ground. I think that's way too much work. I'd rather cut a few more trees and make a few more trails, but that's what I would do with it. Get them on the ground, and you don't have to hinge cut them. You can cut them off flush and make nice stump sprouts for them, and the deer hammer those. And there's a lot of research came out of Mississippi State that you can get 3 times the nutritional value of that tree by flush cutting it. They call them mineral stumps.
Really?
Yep. So the protein goes out the nose. Everything goes way up. All those really good nutrients for does in the springtime when you get that flush of new growth that are weaning fawns and all that stuff comes into play with those mineral stumps. So, and while they're still alive, once the ash tree is dead, you go to cut it off, it'll just be a dead stump. If it's still alive, you can still get some good use out of it. So that's how I would look at it, Marty. And, like always, give me a call. If I'm down in the area, I'll swing in and we'll check it out. Or if my arm gets a little bit better, I'm on limited use at work right now. I actually messed it up doing some chainsaw work at the college the other day. So I'm on limited use with my right hand. It's okay, but it's only by about 20, 30-ish% grip strength. So not fun. I forget what they called the thing, but I pinched the nerve that runs right on top of my forearm and my elbow.
Ouch.
So I got to follow up with an orthopedic, and he gives me the clearance to go back full time or whatever. But it's got better over the last 2 days. But when I did it, my whole arm went numb. And I was like, oh my God, I'm having a stroke. I'm like, no, it's my right arm. It's all right. It's all good. But it was super simple. All I did was I cut a branch, and, and this goes back to take your time if you're doing this work. Don't kill yourself. You're not in any hurry. And I was literally cutting brush to give to the guys that were feeding the chipper. And I cut a top, and I reached down, grabbed it, and all I did was try to throw that branch off of the pile to him. And as soon as I let go of it, I felt the pop, and everything went numb from the elbow down. So not fun, and definitely something that I've never had happen with it. And I'm getting it back slowly, but it's tough. I'm doing everything left-handed lately for the last couple of days.
We aren't 20 anymore, are we?
Yeah.
It's catching up.
It is for sure. But Steve Bogart tuning in says, yo, Buff Trace tonight, huh? I said, yep, Buffalo Trace. This was actually a Christmas present from a client of mine, Steve. So that's what we're busting into. He said, damn, sorry to hear about that. Yeah, it sucks, but it's just the awkwardness of it that is the pain in the butt. It's not feeling useful. Like I pick something up, my hand's all shaky, and I got no strength in it, and it flashes of hot and cold in my arm and tingles, and it's really weird. So, but I guess I'm getting better in my left hand. So, I guess become an ambidextrous drinker. But no. So we talked about the dogs. Had some comments come in. Make sure I didn't miss any on here. Yeah, but Hannah and Dylan coming out and helping out with that. I don't know. I got to get Dylan back here in my yard, cutting the saplings out from the trees. He loved doing that the one day. I gave him that handsaw, and he just jumped right to it.
Oh, he loves tearing into whatever he could possibly tear into.
Yep. Yeah, I got to push some of the brush piles around the pasture to burn this year for my birthday party, so I'll maybe cut him loose on the tractor. We can sit there and watch him.
Oh, boy. Does pretty good.
Yep. But yeah, actually, I was talking to you a little bit before this. Went over to a piece that we do a little bit of work on this afternoon and did a little drive-by on it. And the turnips that were planted, all that stuff, there's rotting turnips in the field, and they're going to corn. So this time of the year, I think if you got that prime food source, and this one being standing corn, on that property in specific, if you're wanting to get out there shed hunting and stuff like that, I didn't know a couple people have found them, but I saw $3 tonight that had both sides on out there.
This past weekend hunting, I saw $3.
Yep,
it still had both sides.
Yeah, so I've had a couple people ask me questions about shed hunting and stuff like that, and I didn't know if you had any tips or anything like that, or if you guys find them when you're out running dogs.
We do. I mean, I spend a lot of time in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time. Don't go through the woods quite like I used to at 20, but I found a ton of them. I mean, that's the other thing. You find a lot of deadheads and different stuff, to clean up from deer season, because we're looking for the coyotes. You're following their tracks, and well, man, there's a lot of tracks going over here. I wonder what they're going to do. And you walk over and you might find a dead deer.
Mm-hmm.
There's been instances where we found, somebody's hit a big buck, and you might find it and call them, hey, your deer's here, I've seen this going back years and years ago, and we actually used to get deep snow. I don't know when was the last time we had a hard winter?
4 years ago, 5 years ago now. They were showing the snow totals when we were watching the weather this morning at work, because we're waiting on snow and stuff like that. And I think we're only at like 20 inches right now for winter.
Something like that.
And we're normally at 68 on average for this time of the year. So we're almost 4 foot below average on snow for the Finger Lakes area.
Yeah.
Buffalo's been getting hit a little bit harder with the lake effect, but it's all gone.
I know, it's all gone. My brother lives in Buffalo, and it's really interesting weather. The earthquake the other day.
Mm-hmm. He
texted me the other morning. I was sitting at a break table at work. We just got done salting, and said earthquake. I said, you better go back to bed. Next thing I see it on the news.
Yep.
I guess you're right. But.
Yeah, so I think it's early for sheds. I mean, like I said, I've seen people find them and stuff like that. I haven't been back out to check what few cameras I got left, but I was out there glassing that what was left of the standing cornfield tonight. There was 20-some deer out there, and $3 had both sides on. And there was a couple of shed bucks, but and that's what I tell people a lot is don't go out there early, because if you push them off of that food source and push them onto a neighboring piece, you might never find those sheds. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm usually waiting until March, and in that time frame. And if you got good habitat, you're going to have them hold a little bit longer too. They're not going to be as stressed out. So, mm-hmm. And this is another good point too, and big difference with standing corn that their bodies have already stayed on for their bacterial in their stomach, rather than going out there and dumping 300 pounds of corn and letting them gorge themselves out, and then, having their stomach literally get gut rot and they die, So, and I see a lot of that, on Facebook and stuff like that this time of the year. People think they're helping the deer, which a lot of times, best way to help them is to go out and cut some trees down. So give them some browse. And I found a lot of sheds and trees that I've cut, this time of the year for deer, hanging up in them and down in where they've been eating all the buds off and stuff like that. So, yep. And it's nice to get out this time of the year, especially with no snow. You don't got to beat, down a path with a sled with your chainsaw and all that stuff in it. And it's not too bad. Tim Davis comments in, been seeing bucks with full racks yet when I've been out running dogs. Yeah, it's a light winter, so I think they're holding, which normally, we're only in beginning of February too. Chris also comments in, seeing a lot of bucks at camp and none day still holding both antlers. So even down the southern tier, they're still holding. Yeah. So it's just been so light. There's no hard stresses. We had some cold snaps, but not like the normal snowfall and stuff like that to really push them off. Steve Bogart comments in, I need to get a piece of land, man. I know a guy.
Yeah. Right, yeah. So it happens you talk to the realtor.
Yeah.
Price of that's not going down any, that's for sure.
No, it's tough right now. I got a couple people I'm looking for and stuff like that now in different areas, and it's tough. Once you find one that's decently priced, they don't last. If you got one that's priced, good with the market value, it shifts really, really quick.
Yeah,
it doesn't last on the market with it. So, and everybody's wanting to get more away from town, away from all that stuff, and get outside of it. And we've seen a huge flush with recreational pieces and out of town pieces, even if it's just their getaway property. Mm-hmm. I've sold a couple pieces this last couple of years to people that don't even hunt.
Really?
They're just in it for a piece out in the woods that they can
get away from everything.
Hobby farm or bird watch or whatever and stuff like that. So it's a changing mentality. The big thing I tell people is have realistic expectations. This isn't like buying ground 25 years ago, where you could pick it up for $500, and $500 back then an acre might have been a lot.
Yeah.
But now, if you could find it for $500 an acre, you tell me where, and I'll figure out how to buy as much of it as I can get my hands on, because it doesn't come off, that at that price point, unless it's a swamp, like straight swamp. And even then, the duck guys want it.
Duck guys want it. That's the biggest thing. So, it's nuts.
Yeah. But no, it's crazy. But
regular ag on this sky high.
Yeah, so what have you been seeing for ag in kind of Ontario County lately? If we're getting on the land topic.
I don't know. You hear rumors of what people have done. I think it's like you get anywhere from that 5 to 6 to you might hear one of almost 8,000, or it all depends on if you get a couple big guys that want it.
Yep. Right next to the home piece, good ground.
They're going to pay what they got to pay, and that's all there is to it. You might have a neighbor that wants it just as bad as you do, and it turns into a bid war. It's it's crazy.
Yep. No, and it's all like you said. It's neighborhood dependent. It's production dependent.
Yep.
All that stuff comes into play. Like they're not going to go out and buy something, on the other side of town most of the time. There's big farms nowadays, and they're a lot bigger than when I was growing up. Even, the acreage per farm.
Oh yeah.
Number of farms went down. Acreage went up. Yep. So, but yeah, I've heard it a lot in that 5. 5 seems to kind of be the baseline staple.
So I was going to say it's 5.
Tillable, and I've heard, like you said, 8. I've even heard 10, 11.
I have heard 10, yeah.
Yeah, for, again, the right pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that's with no structure. That's dirt.
Land.
That's dirt price. So, again, we live in a pretty rich area of the Finger Lakes, Ontario County, southern Wayne County, where I hunt in a lot of those areas where I do business and stuff like that. And there's good ground there.
Yeah,
really good yields.
Very productive.
So, but yeah, no, and those 5-10 acre hobby pieces are like hotcakes right now. And those are even pushing values of $3 to $5, $6 grand an acre, especially for that small chunk. Because I used to call it the 10 grand building lot. The first acre of that property was your 10 grand building lot, and then everything was your additional price per acre.
Yeah.
Now I could jump that to 25, 30 for the baseline acre, and then your extra is $1,500, $2 grand or more an acre. So it's tough. It really is now, and I'm thankful that my dad bought it and got his piece when he could get his piece, and but there's also options out there to lease.
Yeah.
I don't know if you lease any ground or yours is permission and family.
Yeah, it's permission, and I mean we've got a few. We hunt on some leases that guys have.
Yep.
You might kick them a couple $100, or some guys are just happy to see in there getting rid of the coyotes. There's one particular piece we hunt. We don't hunt it a lot. Every now and then, guy leases it for deer hunting. We give him a few $100. I don't know what it is. A friend of mine pays him to coyote hunt it. We were just in there recently, and I could not believe the amount of coyotes that were in there.
Yeah. Usually, and then this time of the year where you find the deer, you find coyotes too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because they're going to still, like nature intends, to pick off the weak and the young and the old and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's definitely wherever the good habitat is where you're going to find the wildlife in the winter, because that's how they make a living. What was that, Ryan?
You'd be surprised some places where dogs are going to come up with a coyote in behind somebody's house or little brush lot somewhere.
I was amazed at how, like we said, cyclitic they are, but like where they were on the GPS. I'm like, that's like right behind somebody's house. And the next thing you know, you see them cross the road or whatever, like old county road or whatnot. And it's just like, they must have ran through like 3 people's yards with the dog, so. Mark comments, says many farms around us in Ontario County. He says they're bringing over $10K an acre.
Yeah.
And he's on the south end of Ontario. Okay. More down that way. He owns
on the south end of Ontario. That's real rich ground.
yeah, and a lot more of the Mennonite community and stuff like that too. And that's getting into a different type of buyer where a lot of that, to my understanding, with my conversations with people in that community. It's church-based money.
It's different.
It's community money almost, so they can put whatever they want toward it, as long as it's because so much of it goes back to the community with how they're set up. And I'm not super versed in it and stuff like that.
I have no idea. I know there is different stuff with the church and different ones you talk to and different sects of the church.
Yep.
I know a bunch of different Mennonites, and they'll tell you, if we want it, we're getting it.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
All there is to it.
And it's $100 bills.
Yep.
Same thing with the Amish and people in those communities and stuff like that. I've literally seen them come to auctions too. With a couple of them, you'll see them gathered around the buggy, and they got a potato sack.
Yep.
And it's full of bills.
Yep, they're using it. They're there for a reason.
Yep. Yeah, there was a piece just north of our piece that sold to an Amish family. Just this past summer, I think it was.
Okay.
And I was telling a couple of the guys I knew that were interested in it, and I'm just like, if they're here, man, and they want it, you won't touch it.
No. It's...
And then they got talking to the guy after because they were still interested in hunting the parcel. They've been lifelong hunters on it. And, the guy's like, oh, no, we weren't even close to being done. Yeah. He's like, we had a lot more ceiling.
Yeah,
So, and again, they know that it's a limited resource, and you can only get it when you can get it.
And that's the other thing, that's in their blood. That's what they...
Yeah.
Oh, that's not just in their blood; it's in their religion. I mean, they are here to farm. They are here to do whatever.
Procreate.
Yes, they're.
Yep.
And a lot of them are good about, like, we hunt on a lot of Amish and Mennonite property, and most of them want the coyotes gone. A lot of different sheep farms.
Yep.
We get to the east of here and south of here, and they're good people most of the time to deal with.
Yeah, they're not, I have had, obviously, there's obviously good and bad with everything we talk about, but most of them are, good people to get along with, real easy going.
We've taken a few of them hunting. That's entertaining.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. There's been a couple, actually, nope, I took all the sheds down. I was going to say, Mo, the biggest buck we had this year was actually shot by one of our Amish neighbors this year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and, of course, hindsight's 20/20. I killed Hornet, which I'm super happy I killed that buck with my bow. But I went back, looked at pictures, and everything 1 year rule for Mo lined up 100%. He was so daylight, dude, it wasn't even funny. And they ended up killing him opening day in the afternoon. He ended up killing him, came out with a doe. And the doe, the guy was just stand hunting, just right place, right time, hot doe, and again, he was right down on the south end where he should have been.
Yeah.
And he was there with a doe group and got himself schwacked. But yeah, and he was good. I mean, he walked next door because of course they don't have phones. Walked next door to the neighbors, called me, and said, "Hey, I shot a nice buck. You want to come look at it, stuff like that." And like I said, there's good ones, for sure. And getting good relations with your neighbors, no matter Mennonite, Amish, or Englishmen as they call us.
Yeah, Englishmen.
But but yeah, well, we're right about at that hour mark. Let me see. That's usually what I've been shooting for with these. That way we're not getting all long-winded. And people got kids and stuff like that now that, the holidays are over and back to school and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Pretty easy to sit and talk hunting and different stuff for hours on end. And
yeah, it is. And we get different people to tune in different times, stuff like that. I know one guy doesn't usually tune in till like 8 o'clock because he gets on night shift at work and then he can dial it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he usually catches the tail end of the show usually. But yeah, so I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. Nice conversation tonight. Really easy going. Last little reminder for the Sweetheart Sip and Stroll in Phelps this weekend. There are tickets still available. You can go over to the Facebook page, Phelps Happenings. I think I got that right. They're going to have 8 or 9 different vendors, wine stops, snack stops, and 3 spirit stops, which my wife says is a big deal because there's not very many that have 3 places where you can get liquor. Like always, make sure you have adequate DDs and stuff like that for you. Drink safe, drink responsible. And the 3 spirit stops are our local Smoking Tails with Pete Cheney, Iron Smoke out of Fairport, who they source all their stuff from New York crop. Drew Westcott is a guy from Clyde. So that's kind of cool. He came up with the recipe for Iron Smoke where they finish it in applewood barrels to give it that kind of appley wood smoke flavor. And then obviously we'll have the Whitetails and Whiskey pouring station at the Phelps Arts Center, which is the old church on Church Street, just past Smoking Tails. Yeah. So, and we'll have a couple of different beginner bourbons down there for you guys to try and talk some whiskey with you folks. So, thanks Ryan for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone for tuning in. If you like this, give us a like and subscribe to the channel, all that good, happy stuff. And we'll catch you all next time down here at the bar on the podcast. Take care, folks.